Now that we've reviewed the entire Evil Dead franchise, it's time to find out which of these films is the most evil and which of them has just a little bit of evil. Let's find out. Welcome back to Wrestling with Horror. My name is Andrew Dreamer, and of course, as always, this is the channel where we talk about professional wrestling, we talk about horror movies, and we look at all the ways that they intersect, connect, and everything in between. Now, we're finally wrapping up our talks about the Evil Dead franchise. We reviewed everything from the brand new movie all the way back to the original film. As I said before, I don't really have time to touch on the TV series Ash vs. Evil Dead. I haven't really even got to watch the entire thing, so we're not talking about that yet. Maybe we'll do it in the future. I don't know for sure. We'll see what happens. But that being said, we've reviewed every movie. It's time to do a ranking video. So we're going to look at every single one of these one more time, and we're going to talk about which ones are good, which ones are bad, and just a little bit of a spoiler alert, none of these are bad. But let's jump right into this ranking video. Starting us off at number 5, the bottom of the list is Army of Darkness. I know, I understand. A lot of people love this movie. A lot of people have this movie at their number 1. I've told you before, my dad and my brother both have this film at number 1 for all of the Evil Dead franchise, and I completely understand why. But for me, I've said it before, I said it in my Army of Darkness review, the full-blown comedy does not work for me, and I miss the blood, I miss the gore, I miss the scares. So this film just, it falls a bit short. I have fun with it. There are some funny moments, I can have some laughs with it, but for the most part, what I want from an Evil Dead movie is just not quite there. Coming in at number 4 on our list is going to be the 2013 remake/sequel, Evil Dead, directed by Fede Alvarez. And the biggest reason for this film being here on the list is, as I've said before, I kind of miss some of my favorite mix of the Evil Dead franchise is when you have that perfect combination of comedy and horror. And we'll get to the films where I think those are done better. You probably can guess which one is going to be number 1 because I've already told you before which is my favorite. But nonetheless, that's kind of what I feel is missing here. This is a good movie. This is a scary movie. This movie is gory, it's brutal, it's gruesome, and its entire goal and its purpose of existing is to scare you to death. And I think that it accomplishes pretty much everything it sets out to do. But like I said, just not having any comedy is not what I want from an Evil Dead movie either. So that's why this movie is here on the list. Number 3 is going to be 1981's The Evil Dead. That's right, the original Evil Dead is coming in in the middle of this list at number 3. Why? Well, it's slightly higher than the 2013 version because, yes, this film is mostly just straightforward horror. There is still some campiness to it. There is some little kind of goofy moments just kind of sprinkled in there. So that's really why this movie is here on the list. And of course we have Bruce Campbell, the first time he's ever playing Ash Williams, and you know how much that character just became an icon. He skyrocketed into fame, and it just, this is the beginning. I have to put a little bit of respect on his name and just give him some credit here, even though I'm going to be giving him a lot more credit here in just a couple minutes. Number 2. I know most people probably didn't think that this film was going to be here, but Evil Dead Rise. I get it. I understand. I know a lot of people say that these characters are bland, kind of nothing characters. Well, that's how I felt about the characters in the 2013 version. So, you know what? It's different flavors of ice cream. Everybody likes something different. It doesn't matter. It's just my opinion. No need to get upset about it, but I love this movie. There were... It was pretty straightforward horror, which I know I kind of ragged on Evil Dead 2013 for that, but here we get a few moments kind of sprinkled in there to give you just a little bit of humor thrown in there with all of the scares. And again, this movie is extremely scary. It's very bloody, gory, There's some just intense moments. The Deadites are amazing in this film. I like the way that they're portrayed. And I like I like all of the characters. You know, there's not a character in this movie that I don't really like. And that's rare for a horror movie. You know, usually you have at least one character that you just kind of can't really wait to die. I didn't have anybody like that in this movie. I didn't want any of them to die. I wanted them all to live. But that's not really the case. You just can't do that in a horror movie. So I understand that. But I like this movie a lot. And that's why this is number 2 on my list. It could change in the future after rewatching, and, you know, just your experience changes as time moves forward. So we'll see what happens next time I revisit the series. But coming in at number 1, of course, you guessed it, it's Evil Dead 2, 1987's follow-up to the original Evil Dead, directed by Sam Raimi, when he remade his original story within the first 15 minutes of this movie, and he took all of that campiness and he just cranked it up to 10, but he kept all of the gore and the blood and the scares and all the Deadites and the Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead. He kept it all in there for me. I got the Delta 88, and you know what? This is just the perfect combination of horror and comedy. It worked perfect for me. You had some of the stop motion stuff. You had Ash losing his hand. You know, I love the entire sequence of him running around the house for a couple minutes. It's one of my favorite scenes in the entire franchise. Bruce Campbell solidifies himself as Ash in this film. It's the one that really cements him as that character, where nobody else could ever portray that character in a remake, or if he were to be recast, it could not happen. Nobody could ever fill those shoes or that chin, and it's just the way it's going to be for the rest of time. Nobody else is going to play that character, and that's the way it should be. This film is absolutely near perfection for me. I love this film. I can watch this film over and over and over again, and I never get bored of it. I don't get tired of seeing the same things. I still get, jump scared sometimes, even though I've seen it 100 times. This film just is that good to me. And having it at number 1 is probably not going to change anytime soon. So that's my list of the Evil Dead franchise from worst to best. Tell me what you think down in the comments. Be respectful. I know that we all have different opinions, especially when it comes to ranking things like this. So keep that in mind. Be nice to everybody down there. Let's have a good time. Let's talk about it. Let's rationalize our lists. And of course, as always, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Turn your notifications on. Hit that bell. Leave a like on the video. But my name is Andrew Dreamer, and I will see you next time on Wrestling with Horror.